Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. There's so many ways these folks can protect your home. Maybe you need crawl space encapsulation. Maybe you just need to replace some old nasty insulation that's come loose. Maybe it's just to check whether or not your crawl space vents should be open or closed right now. They can do that for you. And of course, they can kill off all the bugs trying to get in right now. SoutheastTermite.com to learn more. These are the guys I use. You should too. Okay. We are back on our side set. Of course, we wanted to get Chris Lofton in this shot. We're going to have some video here that we'll put up in a second. Kevin Durant put up a tweet yesterday honoring him. We got video from yesterday's retirement ceremonies. Also, you were very much involved in helping pull off a nice Friday night salute to Chris Lofton, where a bunch of players got back together. So you'll see some photos from that as well. But I wanted to ask you too, and just start off as we can go into the video. What made Chris Lofton special, Mark?
For one, I always start with the character of the person that he is. But, for 4 years of my life in coaching him, I spent more time with Chris than my own wife, because he was at the gym all the time. He'd work out before practice, after practice, and just his attention to detail and commitment to just trying to get better. There wasn't a day that he didn't miss getting in the gym, getting in with his training staff, his strength coach. He was just desired. I'd tell the story of he would ask me every once in a while when we'd be working out in Thompson-Boling Arena, joking around, of course, only the way Chris does, of like, he'd stare up and point at the rafters and be like, hey, yo, Mark, when are they going to put my number up there? And so it was awesome. It was fun to be with him yesterday and to be able to tease him. It's January 14th of 2023. It's today. So.
Jimmy, what did you think what made him special? Why did he connect so well around here?
I think he had a brilliant junior year, right? He's the SEC Player of the Year. And going into his senior year, he's got the testicular cancer. Mm-hmm. And he's struggling a little bit. And people, and me, I was included, were wondering what's going on with Chris Lofton. And he started getting some criticism here and there. And he never said a word about it. He did not want people to know about it. So I asked him recently, last week, I said, why didn't you come out and say something? He said, because I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about the team. I wanted to focus on the team, not on me. Now, that says an awful lot about him. A lot of people, and I'm included, you start taking shots at me, I kind of want to fire back, sure. Right? He wouldn't do that. He just said, I'm going to play basketball. The focus is on this team, not on me, and I'm going to grind through this. That really impressed me about him.
Quiet kind of a guy, which I think people are drawn to in terms of he just went about his business. But I tell you, the other thing that worked for him was, one, the fact that people love these rim runners who can dunk and everything. But there's something about a guy who can beat you from any spot on the floor, which he did while he was here. He won games all over the place. Yeah. Also, the timing of it. He was the best player when Tennessee basketball turned around, and it was electric for the first time. And it's pretty much been electric ever since then. You've had some downs, but he was part of that turnaround team and was the front person on that. He's the one that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated a time or two, the special editions and everything. So I think that was it too. It was not only was he great, but he was kind of the front person on the entire program turning around.
Yeah, I think when you're the underdog, like he wasn't recruited by anybody. We tease him about it. Like Tennessee outbeat like Arkansas State to get him.
And Georgetown, that Division III team.
The Georgetown, Kentucky.
And then being from Kentucky, I think adds to his story. That Tennessee got him, and the way that he performed against the Kentuckys in those moments was something that we'll always remember.
Well, the trust that his teammates had in him, which I thought was interesting, because Dane Bradshaw tells a story. They're playing Winthrop, right? Mm-hmm. They're about to get knocked out of the NCAA tournament. They're a heavy favorite.
First round, yeah.
And Dane's inbounding the ball. And he said that the play was designed to alley-oop to Andre Patterson. And he said, Patterson's wide open. He said, I couldn't throw it to him. I wanted to throw it to Chris Lofton because I believe Chris Lofton would make that play. That's pretty strong trust in a teammate.
Very quickly here, I think I know the answer to this. And again, I say timing is part of this. But for years, Ernie Grunfeld has his jersey retired. Great player. Allen Houston, Dale Ellis, legends. Jerseys are up there. Bernard King has kind of been the face of the program for decades and decades and decades, even when he wasn't connected to the program, before everything was patched up. He was kind of the guy that everybody pointed to as best ever. And he may still be the best ever, but my question is, if it comes down to most popular VFL from the basketball program today, it's Chris Lofton, not Bernard King, isn't it?
I think so.
No knock on King, but
I think so. When you say that, I'm
70s
reminded.
versus 2010s.
So yesterday during
2000s.
the celebration, you've got Allen Houston and Candace Parker out there. So you introduced both of them separately. So to your point, if you introduce Bernard King and Chris Lofton, who would get the loudest ovation? I'm going Chris Lofton.
Well, I also think some of it's era.
Certainly,
right? But,
yes.
But
Yeah.
I think that Bernard's got a good character, good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the separation of Chris and how he embraces the fans more, wants to come back on campus, wants to be a part of this community. Whereas Bernard, when I was over there, and even now at the event, it's harder to pull him back.
Yep.
And so I think that goes with. I think Bernard, when you look at his stats, if you pull back his rebounding, he's the better basketball player. But Chris, I think his popularity relates more to his character, and I do think because he's a guy that we all can relate to because of his size, his height, his athleticism. Whereas Bernard was just completely built different.
And his humility.
Yeah.
Very much, very much. And I mean, yesterday he's talking about it's about them, meaning the others, not himself. So, Mark, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it. We're going to get into recruiting when we come back, but we'll also be talking plenty of football. Where's Tennessee on the college football food chain? We got much more to come. Come on back on the Sports Source.